Hi everyone. Jill wanted me to do a little talk today for senior club, and of course I couldn't resist. So I wanted to talk today about just anxiety, and I know right now with everything going on that fear and worry are just a lot more present than usual, and I wanted to talk about that today because all of my life I have struggled with anxiety and just always being worried about things that I can't control, which is silly. But when you have grown up your whole life struggling with, oh, there's a bee. When you grow up your whole life struggling with anxiety, you learn a lot of tips and tricks along the way. And so, third grade for me was when my anxiety was at its very worst in my life. I was always scared about just everything, just anything and everything in your everyday life. I was scared of. And if you would have told my little third grade self, Hallie, you're gonna live through a pandemic, and everyone is gonna be worried about getting sick or their loved ones getting sick, and everyone's gonna have to social distance from each other, and the whole world's gonna be in quarantine, I would have freaked out. I mean, as everyone else is, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I would have definitely not been able to do it. I was just a nervous wreck. But I am right now handling it very well, and my family has noticed and loved ones that handling it a lot better than most people, and we think it's just because I do know how to cope with anxiety and how to not let it consume your life and how to not let it overtake you. And so what I wanted to do is hopefully share some things that helped me along my journey, and hopefully help ease your fears and worries a little bit. So first I wanted to start off, I don't know if anyone else has or reads their like a Jesus Calling book. It's like this, but highly recommend. I love my Jesus Calling book. But on the bee is back. I'm sorry guys. Bees are really feeling like joining us today. Okay, sorry. On April 15th, the Jesus Calling book writes, "Trust me and do not be afraid. Many things feel out of control. Your routines are not running smoothly. You tend to feel more secure when your life is predictable. Let me lead you to the rock that is higher than you and your circumstances. Take refuge in the shelter of my wings, where you are absolutely secure. When you are shaken out of your comfortable routines, grip my hand tightly and look for growth opportunities. Instead of bemoaning the loss of your comfort, accept the challenge of something new. I lead you from glory to glory, making you fit for my kingdom. Say yes to the ways I work in your life. Trust me and do not be afraid." I think this is amazing because it really goes well with everything going on in the world right now. And I think now more than ever, we really do need to take shelter in his wings and grip his hand tightly and just fully trust that he's got us. And yeah, so, and that also leads me back to a realization I had at a Young Life camp once. If you haven't ever gone to a Young Life camp, go, because it is the best week ever and will definitely change your life. But I had a realization at a Young Life camp one time. It was at Timberwolf, and there's like, I don't know if you guys know, there's like a huge woods at Timberwolf. Like there's a huge, beautiful woods, and you're actually not allowed to. I didn't know this at the time, but I took a walk by myself through the woods, but I wasn't supposed to, so maybe don't do this, but I did, not knowing, and it was, I don't remember why exactly. I was feeling like really sad that during that time, and I was just talking and praying to God my whole walk along the woods, and as I started to have a little moment and get a little sad about something, and I was just crying to God, saying like, just I wasn't happy for some reason. I don't remember what got my heart hurt, but it was, and then right as I was saying that, I look in front of me, and a mama and a baby deer just stopped right in front of me and just stared at me, and I just stood there and I stared back. And it was in my family, we always say if you see a deer, it's a sign from God, or just him sending love from up above, just sending love down to you. And so for that to happen, like right then and there when I was really needing it, was amazing to me. And I was like, God, I know you are right here with me. I know that you sent this deer and this baby deer my way. But I was like, but you know what? It's really hard when I can't hear you and I can't see you, God. It's hard to know that you're there all the time. And it is hard when it's hard to go to someone who you can't physically hear or physically see. You just have to know and believe that he's there. And I had that moment, and I was like, you know what? It's hard. And I sat down. There was a tree, and I just sat by the tree, and I started to look around. I listened to the birds chirping, as I'm doing right now, and the trees swaying and the wind blowing, and I looked down at the flowers and the grass I was sitting in and the tree I was leaning up against, and even the fun little bug creatures that wanted to join me in my sitting at a tree. Even the bugs, and even the bees that keep flying around me right now. I realized, I was like, this is God. God is everywhere. God is the birds chirping and the trees swaying and these little bugs crawling on me. It's like he's just all around me. And I really had that realization. I was like, wow, you really just have to look for him. You really have to believe and feel that he's here, and he loves us, and he'll always be around. And even though you can't see him and you can't hear him, it's hard, but just to believe and know that he's there. And like, I'm looking around right now at all the beautiful trees and birds flying around and little fun creatures like bees coming to give you a visit. Like, as I'm doing this talk, bees keep flying around, and it could just be God giving me some love from above. You just don't know. Like, you just have to believe that he's really all around. And yeah, so that was a little realization that I had at a camp that I don't know if everyone will agree with, but I like to believe it. And how does that relate to what I was saying with anxiety and worry? And you just have to know that through this whole pandemic, through everything, it's so scary, and it brings up lots of fear and worry, and we just have to really trust that God's here. God's with the people in the hospital who are suffering from the virus. He's with all of us some of us have dealt with loss of loved ones from this virus, and he's with us now, and he's with us who are just worried, who are just really stressed right now, and always, but especially during this hard time. He's all around. And okay, sorry. Now I wanted to share some verses from my Bible that I think relate to this topic. And it's Psalm 23 verse 4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me." I love that one. It's one that always brings me comfort when I'm feeling stressed. And Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, "Do not fear, I am with you. Do not be anxious, I am your God." And it's so simple, but it's so powerful. And just to know that our God is a good God, and that he loves us all no matter what, is powerful in that, and that he's with us always. So I wanted to make a pact with myself, and hopefully with all of you lovely people listening, that just for us all to just not worry about the things that we can't control. Because when you think about it, it's so silly to worry about the things that we can't control when we're not the ones in charge. And so it's something that I always say to myself is, if I'm in charge of my life, then boy, do I have a lot to worry about. And I should be filled with angst and worry all the time. But if God is in charge of my life, then I have nothing to worry about, because it won't do me any good. If he's in charge, what good would worrying do for me? And that is something that helps me when I think about it. I'm wrapping up, I promise. I have my little bullet points. Okay, I want to leave with this, that I know right now times are so tough and it's really hard to stay faithful through all of it, but it's hard, but I think what's really important is to know that we will get through this, and once we do get through it, we'll all be stronger and better. And something that's so cool and powerful, that once we do get through this, we'll be able to say to ourselves, hey, I made it through the coronavirus pandemic. I can make it through this. Whatever it may be, we make it through this. We can make it through anything. I mean, we're all strong to be going through this crazy time, and we'll all be stronger in the end. And okay, that's the last of my bullet points. Thanks for listening and staying with me this far. And I know I'm not a leader or anything. Jill was so sweet to ask me to do this. I know I'm not a leader, but I am always here. I know I'm probably the same age as most of you, but I would love if anyone ever needs someone to talk to or advice for anything. I am always here. So, okay, bye guys. Love you all, and thanks for listening.